What's going on here? Former Patriot, Super Bowl 51 champ Geno Grissom here. You're listening to Boston's Big Three presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, Boston's Big Three, episode 71, presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored by NBC Golf Channel, a little collab with Ride the Wave Media. We are partnering up with the Golf Channel as they head up their way to the Boston for the FedEx Cup. The week tees off at TPC Boston for the Northern Trust. Stay up to date of all the action on the Spike King channel, the Ride the Wave Media channel. We're going to be promoting it here at Boston's Big Three. It's a big opportunity. Can't fumble this bag. And, kind of a big collab that I don't think anybody really saw coming. A lot of people don't like us on the old Instagram app and the whole Bird app either. Not a lot of people like Ride the Wave Media, or they make it known. I feel as though the people who like us don't really stick up for us all that much, but
they really don't.
You only hear the people who don't like us. But for all those clowns, and I know I know a lot of the people who are commenting because, I don't know, they've either done stuff. I don't know. We know who you are, you clowns. Anyways. Boston Celtics playoff basketball is back. They went up against Philly game 1, and they beat them by 8. However, they lose Gordon Hayward in the process. So Philly loses Simmons before the series starts. Now we lose Hayward. I don't really think anyone's worried about Hayward for this series. It's more everyone's kind of already looking ahead to Toronto. But overall thoughts on the first game of the playoffs for Boston, how they look, thoughts, worries, concerns, really anything.
Well, green gum yesterday and a green shirt today. Watching Joel Embiid lose, putting up 26 and I think, 16 was awesome. Just watching him dominate Daniel Tyson, dominate Robert Williams, and just having him lose afterwards was so satisfying. But the number one thing I was most impressed with was Jaylen Brown. I mean, oh my God, 29 points. And people kind of were hesitant and going back into the bubble with Jaylen Brown saying like, oh, hey, the upstart might not be great for him. He's kind of a really good player, not a great player, teetering on that edge. Jason Tatum's the man. And last night was a true duo show. I mean, obviously Jason Tatum is that dude, and we know that. And he put up his own 32 points, I believe. But Jaylen Brown was the star of the show, in my opinion, last night. He really handled business on both ends of the floor. And like you mentioned, Gordon Hayward did go down with an injury. However, I think this team's used to playing without Gordon Hayward at this point. I really do think that. I think the only reason Jason Tatum got so good his rookie year and continued to get that good is because Gordon Hayward had either less touches or didn't play in the game. And so when you look at it that way, I'm not as concerned, but he was playing very good in his bubble restart. It now falls on Kemba Walker to kind of pick up that slack scoring-wise. Facilitating-wise as well, Gordon Hayward's a phenomenal facilitator in this offense. So it's going to be interesting to see if Kemba Walker can, first of all, stay healthy, and two, if he can actually facilitate the ball as well as Hayward does.
Let's rewind real quick before we move on we're joined by Kyle Baxter, GRD Pod, and Pat Senior of New Guys Pod. Forgot to introduce that at the beginning of the show. Welcome on. Anyways, rewind to a year ago around this time, maybe a little less, probably 10-ish months ago. And Jaylen Brown signs a contract extension, and I went on these airwaves saying it was the best thing the Celtics could have done. And everybody was trashing it. Every single person in our comments and anybody the Celtics are getting added on Twitter, everybody's losing their mind saying Jaylen Brown's overpaid. He's this, he's that. And the one off season that he and Marcus Smart aren't rehabbing an injury, aren't having to and learning how to play better basketball. When you can focus all your attention on basketball instead of an injury, it almost it makes sense that you're going to be a good basketball player. And then any of the Jaylen haters out there, you can go kick rocks because he's, like we said, last night, I think he was the best player on the floor. He didn't score the most points in the team, but every single time this entire bubble, let alone this regular season, that the Celtics kind of struggled. They're having a little back and forth. Jaylen Brown always brings your team back. He'll hit the big three. He'll get the steal, the dunk. He has such quick hands on defense. I'm sure this is what they talked about, but every single time, next game, pay attention to this. Every time Embiid gets the ball, they keep one person on him. You just know he's going to cook. But as soon as he puts the ball down, you have Hayward, you had Smart, you had Jaylen, you had Tatum. Everybody just puts a hand in, and eventually it's going to get poked loose. I'm not sure how many turnovers Embiid ended up with, but there was 3 or 4. I think Brown had 4 steals, and I think I called out every single one that it was the fastest hands ever. He would just poke it. But Kyle and Pat, what are your guys' thoughts on game 1?
I definitely thought it was Oh, sorry. I thought it was good that you kind of had Jason round in the first half, and he was really dominating a lot, and then kind of slowed down in the second half. But then you have Jaylen Brown take it over in the second half. So I think the future is definitely bright, and Jaylen is definitely kind of taking over that role for me, kind of showing that he is the second best player on the team. I mean, no disrespect to Kemba Walker, but our future is definitely bright with those two, and I really think that Jaylen is kind of proving his worth a lot more. And like you said, all the haters can go kick rocks because they're just wrong.
It's something I want to bring up about Jaylen, a stat I saw last night, which is actually kind of crazy. Generally, personally, I'm a big Marcus Smart guy. I always believed he's kind of the X factor to how this team plays. I know Joe is with me on that one.
Goddamn right.
Something I saw was every time Jaylen Brown has scored above 25 points this year, the Celtics have won 14 for 14. So definitely he's the guy really. When he's on, the team is on. So definitely last night, I mean, him and Jason Tatum, I saw jokes on Twitter like, the next Scotty and Jordan. Obviously, they're not going to be that. Well, we don't know.
You never know.
But with Hayward going down, like we saw a few years ago, Jaylen and Jason really stepped into that role, and it allowed them to develop a lot more as players. So hopefully we can see that for guys like Romeo Langford and Grant Williams, get more playing time, maybe get some more experience.
I saw GRD's tweet. He had made a good point. When Kyrie didn't play in the playoffs 2 years ago, Terry Rozier out of nowhere became Scary Terry and kind of carried us to the Eastern Conference Finals. Who do you see stepping up now that Gordon's gone? Granted, you have Jaylen and Jason, who are substantially better than they were 2 years ago. You have Kemba Walker. Tice is even improving. He's not going to be like dropping 20 and 15 tonight, but he's still going to do like Daniel Tice 10 and like 9 rebounds a game. He's still going to be consistent. It's more about how are you going to fill the 30 minutes a game that Hayward leaves. It's probably going to be Romeo Langford with his torn wrist. It's probably going to be Grant Williams, all 6'4" of them. Semi Ojeleye, I'm sure we'll see some more minutes. I want Javonte Green to see more minutes. Throw Taco Fall just because, we saw him in just the Wizards game. Did he play in the Wizards game?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I was gonna say, I didn't watch the whole game, right? Yeah, I didn't watch the whole game. But there's so much bench minutes that need to be filled. People need to step up. Who's your guys, I guess, X factor?
It's interesting to look at this from an offensive perspective because defensively we're set. Like, we have some of the best fringe defenders in the NBA, I think, on the bench, on our starters and the reserves for everything. And so when you look at it offensively, I have a hot take. It might be Marcus Smart. And obviously people kind of look at him as saying, like, hey, he's not really an offensive guy. Yeah, guys, we know that, all right? He shot, negative 20% from threes the first 2 years of his career. We understand it, but he's gotten a lot better shooting.
Yeah, he shot better than Clay last year.
Exactly. He's been improving steadily. He shot mid-30s percentage-wise last year. I think
very good, league average probably.
I think at least league average. And when you kind of he's already playing starter minutes. Even though he's on the bench, he's playing starter minutes. He's out there when the game actually matters because Marcus Smart wins you ball games. He's not the prettiest player. He's not the most perfect player on either side of the ball. But, guys, he makes winning plays, and he actually gets you that W in the column every single night he's on the floor in those important moments. So keep an eye out for Marcus Smart. And let's not forget, during that Cavs Celtics series a couple years ago when Jason Tatum dunked on LeBron James, we won one game out of that series, I believe. And guess who had the stat line to win that game? Marcus Smart. He dropped, I think, high 20s, I think, in that game.
Wait, the Eastern Conference Finals?
Eastern Conference Finals, yeah.
Marcus, no, that was 7.
That was the year before. That was when IT
with
went
IT,
down.
Yeah. I was
Smart
talking about that.
I think he had the Celtics record for threes in one game.
I was going to say, he went off. He was cooking.
He had 11.
And I'm not expecting that day in and day out from Marcus Smart. What I am saying is keep an eye out for him offensively. His production will go up.
Tatum gets 13 boards. I think that was the thing that killed him mostly was offensive rebounds and putbacks. You see Al Horford getting a putback, a layup.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Screaming in Tatum's face and not scoring the rest of the game.
Can we just talk about that Al Horford stat line, please? 6 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds in 31 minutes. That was so satisfying. I hate Al Horford now. I was the biggest Al Horford guy in Boston, but seeing him struggle against us was awesome.
It's like he struggled, but I feel that that's like a stat line. Maybe you add 6 more points. He was not getting us 20 a night. This is my thing. We talked about in our group chat today, the Ride the Wave chat, which is just mayhem. But, I don't get the Al Horford slander from people from Boston other than the fact that he went to Philly. You can say that.
Only reason why.
Well, I think
but people are coming after his stats. People are coming after his way he's on the field. He's still a good basketball player. He's in a terrible system, which everybody knows. He's going to be in Cleveland next year when they maybe if they trade that Simmons thing. But like all the Celtics fan all year have been saying the same stuff that non-Celtics fans were saying about Al Horford when he was in Boston. And we were always defending him like, oh, Al's much more than his stats show. He does all these things off the ball. He does so much things that like lead to like extra passes, extra assists,
But did he
all
do
that
that
stuff.
last night? I don't think he did that last night.
No, he didn't do that last night. I didn't say, but I'm saying in general. Well, why is it like why is Boston fans doing the
You know
exact
why? 'Cause
same?
if you're not with us, you're against us. And you know what? Al Horford could have gone anywhere. I respect getting that bag, but you go to Philly, like the next up and coming team in the East in our same division. I think he I'm a big Al Horford guy when he was here, but the second he did that, it was war.
Yeah.
Now
No,
he's
I
not as good
get
as
the
he
fact
was
that he went to Philly, but he's
Yeah.
still good at basketball. You can't call him like a
He's
bad
not worth that
basketball player.
contract, though. He's definitely not worth that
Oh
contract.
yeah, but I think everyone knew that when he signed it.
Yeah,
That's him
but-
just getting his
Not
last
Philly.
paycheck before it goes.
Yeah, but still, you're only as good as your last game, frankly, when it comes to the bubble games especially. And you look at Al Horford's stat line last night, and people say, oh, he does stuff off the ball like you just said. Last night, he did none of that. He was just bad at basketball last night, and it's not like a controversial to say.
Yeah.
Like, he just wasn't playing good last night, and that's fine to say. And yes, he's a talented basketball player still, good veteran presence and everything, but fuck Al Horford. I hate Al Horford.
I feel like Brett Brown
Amen.
just never finds a way how to use his
Brett Brown
players
is
well.
awful.
Like he just doesn't
He's
know how to
awful
use his
coach.
personnel.
He's incompetent. He has the tallest starting lineup in the NBA, or second tallest lineup behind Denver, and he doesn't do anything with it. It's kind of embarrassing.
I mean, you have two guys who are like certified. I wouldn't say Al Horford's like a post scorer, but obviously you can score in the post. Two guys who are really towering over the rest of that Boston lineup. The best defenders probably Daniel Tice or Robert Williams, who
Who played bad
No.
last night?
Tice
aren't
or
great.
Williams?
Yeah,
Williams.
exactly. But like they should be killing us, like which they kind of did in the post. But I mean, just absolutely just attack this Celtics team down low and do whatever you can to utilize your strengths. Brett Brown is honestly just like probably bottom 10 coach in the league. He really doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
even with
I get
Ben
that.
Simmons too.
I get that too.
Doesn't know what
But
he's doing.
They should get Mark Jackson. He just had a team. He knows how to get shooters. His entire coaching
Elevator
scheme
doors.
is run and gun it and pull some threes. That's what Philly needs. And I thought that I was going into this game a little worried. I still have Celtics in fourth. Like, that's not going to change. I had that before the series started. But when Ben Simmons isn't on the floor, you look at how much more spread out that Philly offense is. That's when I thought they were going to eat with Embiid because, like, I love Tice. Tice can't handle Embiid one-on-one. I don't think that's a knock on him. Embiid is just a monster. He's like the third, fourth best center in the entire NBA. When you do big by committee and then you take Tice out and you throw Cantor on him, that's even worse. Like we were just talking about Robert Williams, as though didn't play great yesterday. I don't think you can knock him considering he played, 35 minutes total in the bubble, and he's made the most out of his minutes so far. It was just the first playoff game of the year.
yeah, but the one thing that kind of stood out to me, Robert Williams-wise, last night, I believe it was – I want to make sure I actually have it right here. Josh Richardson was driving, and he kind of gave him a fake, and Robert Williams went for it and intentionally fouled him.
Yeah.
And that was just embarrassing.
I think that was just a bonehead play.
It was a bonehead play. It shows his inability, inexperience when it comes to situations like that. Because any experienced veteran basketball player would not make that play, and it just gave him more points. And it obviously it's just like a very microcosm of his entire game last night, but it still kind of emphasizes like the struggles he's having in this bubble.
Granted, he was also hurt most of the season too, and then the reset hit right before he even came back. I don't know. I've been a Rob Will stan ever since he came to Boston. I think he's just a freak athlete. And that's what we need. Honestly, like he got I think 6 boards last night, which
Yep.
let's check.
Yeah, he did get
Six
6
boards in how many minutes?
I just think it's a
13.
discipline
13.
thing. I just think he needs more discipline. in
Yeah,
this
he's
game.
also a year and a half. Both years he was kind of banged up. He was also late to his first meeting and the flight or like whatever when he was first drafted. So yeah, it's probably a discipline thing, but you never know. I'll take bad discipline if it comes with like a freak athlete in Boston any single day. Like, hey, whatever, man.
Here's something that frustrates me though with this team is that Enes Kanter on the boards, like in terms of especially offensive rebounds, is he's like one of the best in the league.
He's good, yeah.
But dude, he's like whatever he is, 280 pounds. I think he's one of the heaviest players in the league. And you're telling me he can't play defense? Like, I just don't get it. It's really, really like if we had him playing defense,
It's
I feel like it would
strange.
definitely boost us.
I went up to bat for Cantor too many times to like him
Way too
anymore.
many times.
It was like this is what I keep saying to people, and I think it holds true. You didn't sign Enes Kanter to give you all-star minutes. You didn't sign Enes Kanter to be the show of the Boston Celtics. You signed him to get offensive rebounds and putbacks, and you know he's not going to play defense. Like, you know when you sign a player what his strengths and weaknesses are, and his strengths, which are apparent because it was close. He got that offensive rebound, took the 2-step pass to Jalen, who hits a 3. Next thing you know, the whole game momentum shift.
Yeah, a whole 0 points last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't really like Kansas all that much, but you can't. Oh, he got like 4 offensive rebounds in I think 3 possessions, and he missed every single layup. He just keeps smoking layups, dude. I don't know how. You're 7 feet tall. This is what annoys me the most. If you're that big and you're right next to the rim, stop with the floater. Stop with the lanes. Just dunk it. This is why I love Robert Williams. I don't think he knows what a layup is. He just gets his whole elbow above the rim and just dislocates his shoulder dunking a basketball. That's what the big guy I want on the team. Other than that, Grant Williams, he had some minutes late. I think you're going to see a little more Grant Williams. Are you guys Grant Williams fans, or are you just kind of
huge Grant Williams guy?
He reminds me of Smart, just like a little bit taller and a different position.
He reminds me of Al Horford, if we're being honest.
A little bit fatter, I think, too.
A little more.
I don't know. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I kind of, to go back to Robert Williams, I mean, I kind of give him a pass because, like you said, he is this freak athlete. I think he's 6'10" with like a 40-inch vertical, so he's going to be getting most of those boards. But Brad didn't really play him all that much this year, so like that intentional foul he gave, like, I kind of give him a pass on that just because, like, he needs to learn those things. He needs to be playing those minutes. And then another big thing, too, is the bigs. Like, I know Joel Embiid, like you said, is a monster, but combining for 11 points and 13 rebounds just to get smoked by Joel Embiid just by themselves, getting 26 and 16, like, I don't know. The bigs are a little concerning on this team for me still. And I think you said it earlier, like, getting Jarrett Allen in the offseason, like, that would be huge. Like, he's so underrated right now. I really hope we get him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, his contract will be up, and I don't see him going back to Brooklyn if he wants to have a good NBA career. If you want to win, stay in Brooklyn. But you have your front court's always going to be guys like DeAndre Jordan, who's kind of expiring if they think Jordan's going to be more of a backup. But I don't see Jordan coming with Kyrie and KD just to sit. So I think he's staying there. I want Allen. We're going to see whatever shakes happens, but maybe you draft a center for the millionth time, or draft another big guy, or who knows. Other than that, that's around the NBA. The Magic beat the Bucks today. People forget the Magic also beat the Raptors last year, first round. So Bucks may be NBA champions. Who knows? Blazers Lakers tonight. That's the game most people are looking for. Any thoughts? What are your thoughts, I guess, for the whole bubble thing? We're not going to go series by series. Like, any teams, players, games stick out to you, especially in the playoffs?
I got to say, the number one thing I'm looking forward to is Trailblazers Lakers. And I know the Lakers are probably going to steamroll them, but just watching Dame, first of all, get disrespected by both Paul George and Pat Bev, then drop 60-plus points, and then go play LeBron James, that's the perfect underdog story. If he can somehow pull that victory out and somehow, like, at least bring it to 7 or even win the series potentially, that's a huge W. Not to mention, too, the Carmelo Anthony storyline kind of happening right now.
I love Melo.
It's kind of like a subplot right now because of Damian Lillard's kind of overarching presence right now because of the Paul George and Pat Bev stuff. But having Melo go against LeBron is still big no matter what situations it's in. So that's definitely the game to watch for me, or the series to watch for me.
I agree with the Dame. Like, I'm not a big Dame guy. Honestly, I've kind of been a Dame hater. I kind of feel like he's been overrated past couple of years. But this whole thing, he's kind of won me over with all the talk everybody's giving him. And I mean, we'll see what he does tonight. If he chokes in the playoffs, I'm gonna go right back to hating on him. But
I see this being like a 6-7 game series that the Lakers win. They win 2 games comfortably, and the rest are just like tooth and nail close.
My thing is, I can't see anybody on the Blazers team guarding LeBron because
I can't see anybody in the Lakers guarding Dame and CJ though. Like their guard stopper Avery Bradley never pulled up. You're gonna put Caruso on him. You're gonna put
Caruso's good.
Green on him.
No one can lock up
Who's
Dame.
Even their guards? Quinn Cook is going to be playing defense on
KCP.
Dame and CJ.
KCP is all right too.
Yeah, KCP is a madman, but I feel as if he's just going to get into foul trouble really quick because he bites on literally every single pump fake because he goes for a mammoth block on everything and maybe gets 2 a season. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Obviously.
There's a story.
Also, but I feel as if not a lot of, like, I guess – I hate using the term casual fans because I think that's so stupid. It's so lame. But the whole casual NBA fan doesn't know how good Nurkic is on the Blazers. He played 16 games, or he played like X amount of games and took 16 months off. People kind of forgot about him. comes back in the bubble, and he's just been dominating people. He's huge. He can shoot. He has finesse around the rim. He has touch. He has everything that a big man in the 2020 NBA needs. And I don't think people can sleep on that. Granted, you're always going to go up against Anthony Davis or LeBron. And then off the bench, you have JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard coming in. So they have the size on this team. But I don't know. I feel like the Blazers didn't work this hard to get swept or lose in 5. If they're going to go out, they're going to go out swinging.
I said that on GRD pod the other day, that I think that if we ever were going to see another 8 seed upset a 1 seed, it would definitely be this series. Because like you said, the Blazers didn't have Nurkic all year. And with Nurkic, I mean, you could make an argument. Thunder were 4 seed and Thunder were 5 seed and Rockets were 4 seed. I mean, the Blazers realistically could be around that spot. So, I mean, they got the 8 seed, but realistically, they're a 4 or 5 seed in the West. I don't see them beating the Nuggets in standings in the regular season, but I really do think that they have the potential. I don't think they will, but they definitely have the potential to upset LeBron first round.
I get my another series that I'm very interested in, which I'm going to be watching after this, is Rockets Thunder, strictly because like you just said, you're a Dame hater. I hate James Harden. Like, I can't stand watching James Harden. I know he's good, and I know he's all this and that, and I know he's going to break every scoring record in the world. I'm not saying he's bad. I just can't stand James Harden. So, like, I want to see them lose. And I like the Thunder. The Thunder is filled with, like, just dogs. They have Chris Paul, Shea, Steven Adams, Gallinari, Schroeder. Who else is on that team?
LaQuint Dort.
Ferguson. They have just a bunch of guys that know how to win basketball games. The entire culture changed for the 3rd time in like 3 years with KD going, and then Russ leaving, and then Paul George leaving. Now it's Chris Paul's team. And they're overachieving this whole season, and they are not an easy team to face in the first round. You even see when they played the Celtics in the preseason. Yeah, it was preseason. Not preseason, the pre-bubble, whatever it was. The Celtics got smacked by them. Yeah, it's like the pre-regular, whatever you want to call it, that thing. But you can't deny the fact that they are just filled with guys. That's why when everyone was like clowning on Babs for picking the Nets in the Raptors series, granted the Raptors just like pumped them out of the gym the other day. The Nets are just filled with people who want to play basketball and are just good at scoring. They even cut it with an 8 in the last 4th quarter, and then they blew it away. I don't think that the Nets will win, but I think the Nets are going to give the Raptors a game every single game, and that's all you could ask. In terms of other series, you see Jazz, Nuggets. I think those are just like JV versus like middle school team. Yeah, they're both good, but nobody really cares. Nobody's going to go. Clippers, Mavs. Kristaps Porzingis gets ejected for saying words.
It's awful, man.
Basically.
Yeah,
that's about it.
It's awful.
And then right now is Pacers Heat. I think that was close by the time
The Heat
finished. Well, no. All right, so the Heat won. All right, so yeah, that was talking NBA. Football season. That's around the corner with Cam Newton versus Jared Stidham versus Brian Hoyer in camp today. And every Patriots media member, this is their Super Bowl because first time NFL is back in a minute. They're normally on schedule, but this is the first time sports are really back. Their Twitters are popping. Every update is going to get 1 million retweets, 1 million likes. People just want to see headlines, pro headlines for their team, bad headlines for their other team. And I think I got a Bleacher up. This is the stupidest thing I think I've ever gotten on my phone. It was a Bleacher Report like notification. It was like Stidham having a bad practice. I'm like, who cares? Like, it's a bad practice. I want Cam Newton. I know we've talked about this like every week, and I'm pretty sure Stidham's gonna start, but it doesn't make me not want to have Cam Newton week 1 starter. But anyways, Joe, any thoughts on Patriots preseason, Patriots camp? Well, they announced no fans at Gillette this year or whatever.
You know what, Tyler? I do have some thoughts on it. Thanks for asking me.
I figured.
Yeah. So people took this opportunity, the one day Jarek Stidham has a bad day, and shit all over him. Shit on all over him. And it's like not even like
it's kind of funny.
Jarek Stidham threw 3 interceptions at practice today. Yeah, that's horrible. That's not a good stat line. But guess what? He's been the best passer in camp by a large margin. Cam Newton has not been great. He's been average, I should say. Because when you look at the playbook knowledge, it's not there yet. Is he catching up? Yeah. Is it slow? You better believe it. Because this is one of the hardest playbooks to learn in the entire NFL. Because not only are you responsible for your job, you're responsible for every single other player on the field's job. And when you walk into camp, not really having a good sense of the cadences, the audibles, just how the playbook works in general, you're going to struggle. And so I understand why people are surprised that Jarrett Stidham's the number one quarterback so far in training camp, because he's been in the system already for a year. People, pump the brakes in the Stidham hate, because he's showing you right now he's earning the starting job.
Let me put you through a nightmare scenario for you and Babs. Week 1, Stidham does start. He throws like 4 picks off the rip. And then Newton comes in and starts like, I don't know, being Cam Newton and wins us a game. Imagine, just not even you, just imagine the backlash Babs would get. That would be just funny.
No, that would be bad.
That's what I'm rooting for. I want a Patriots Week 1 win. Stidham throws 3 interceptions, gets benched by halftime.
No, you can't say that.
Newton, I just did.
But so you're actively rooting against someone, is what you're saying.
I'm not actively. I'm more rooting for Newton, and if that has to come with the demise of Stidham, if Stidham is the hurdle in Newton's way, then sorry, man.
Okay, I would never actively root against anyone on my own team unless his name is Kelly Olynyk, because I hate that guy.
No, I hate Kelly Olynyk too.
I hate Kelly Olynyk.
I actively root against Brad Wanamaker.
Why?
Oh, I like Brad Wanamaker.
Brad Wanamaker stinks out loud.
No,
he puts up empty stats. He puts up literally everyone.
He's the Walmart version of Marcus Smart. That serves a purpose.
That's all right. The Walmart version of the Walmart version of Marcus Smart. If that's the case. People, all right. If
He's
we're
an
gonna
Alabama Walmart.
People always throw Wanamaker's numbers like, oh, he had 10 points, he had 6 assists. Yeah, but if you had eyes and watched the game, Brad Wanamaker throws the ball to the other team an absurd amount of times, or he ruins the flow.
Thomas.
Do you know that putback? Who what was it? Someone had a putback, but it was like right after Wanamaker smokes a wide open floater. I'm like, oh my God, he is the most infuriating Celtics player that I've had to watch in a very, very long time. More like bad Wanamaker. Brad, want to make me stop watching the NBA.
But to get back to that point there, I'm never actively rooting against anybody. If Stidham struggles, he should be out of the game. I'm not going to stand for this guy if he's not producing. But what I'm telling you right now is every indication, every person I've talked to that has inside knowledge of the situation, he's the best quarterback in camp right now, objectively. So if you can take that, as you want to take it, whether or not they want Cam Newton to win the job is something just a whole different topic to discuss. But as of right now, Stidham's the best suited quarterback to start week 1.
I'll agree with you there, Joe. But what I want to say is, I agree. I'll never root against a Patriots quarterback. Anybody who suits, or a Patriots player, anyone who suits up for a Patriots, game, I'm going to be rooting for him. The reason I'm going with Newton, I'm going to go all Game of Thrones on this, is everybody loves a good story. Cam Newton, a disgraced quarterback, former MVP. Obviously he's not what he once was, but if he can come back and play for the Patriots, who just lost the best quarterback of all time, everybody's going to be loving that in New England, and everybody outside New England's going to be hating. So I just love to see that, just for the fact that it would piss so many people off, and the fact that Cam Newton kind of having his comeback on a team that's not even supposed to be that good, on a team that's supposed to be falling from grace, is just going to be, that much better. So that's why I'm rooting for him.
Kyle?
I guess I kind of got, a star effect by seeing that, Patriots signed Cam Newton, and I was all on the Cam Newton hype train. But I don't know, after editing videos for Babs for weeks now.
You got the propaganda hit you, dude. You want the propaganda?
Every week him saying, Stidham Stiffy. I think I'm starting to get along that train, just because all the reporters, like you said, like, they're all saying, like, he's the clear-cut number 1 guy right now. So I think I got to join the train officially.
Oh, he's flip-flopping.
I need Brandon here, dude. I need Brandon here. Brandon and I are the only 2 people who want Cam Newton to be the starting quarterback on this show.
Hey, to use a term you hate, casual fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I watch.
I
watch every single Pats game, and I pay attention. I just want Cam Newton as a starter.
I think you just like it because of the flash in the name.
Yeah, duh.
That's the only reason why.
Brady left, and we're gonna have boring Stidham be the.
All right, let me ask you a question. If Jarrett Stidham, obviously he's not Cam Newton-esque. He's not the same player. He's not nearly as exciting. Yeah. But say you have Jarrett Stidham go in there, starts the whole season. Yeah. He goes like 9-7, 10-6, kind of where I'm predicting to be right now.
If we go 9-7 with Stidham, I'm gonna lose my mind. And if we don't give Newton a snap, I'm gonna go nuts.
Okay, well, I mean, given the amount of starters we've lost because the opt-outs and everything and injuries as well, I think that's probably a reasonable expectation for the team this year. But regardless, it's besides the point. If they go similar records with both, and Cam Newton has more turnovers than Jarrett Stidham would, then why wouldn't you pick Stidham? Like, I don't understand the whole the idea of Cam Newton being the idealistic quarterback when he turns the ball over a hell of a lot more historically. And when he's not as efficient in his recent years, yes, Jarrett Stidham has no experience at all.
I was going to say historically.
So,
technically, exactly. Stidham has one game and one interception, so he's averaging it a pick a game.
I go back to play style. When you watch his tape from Auburn, watch his tape from Baylor, this guy takes care of the football, and that's the number one thing Bill Belichick looks at. The number one statistic for winning teams is a positive turnover rate. If you turn the ball over less than the opponents and you actually have more turnovers, by your defense, you're winning a lot of football games. And you don't win football games by turning the ball over. And that's exactly what Cam Newton does. As much as I actually like Cam Newton, I've been a Cam Newton defendant. Pat Senior can speak to this point. I mean, I've defended him to the grave.
I've seen way too much of you defending Cam Newton.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, I never even said he was going to be the starter. I just thought it'd be good to bring him in for competition. And so that's why I've kind of held this stance for a long time. That Stidham should be the starter because he takes care of the football more than Cam Newton does.
Yeah, I've accepted that. I know that Stidham's going to start. I think you're kind of crazy if you think Cam Newton's going to pull out a starting job in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is. But you don't have all this hype around Newton. Like, I feel as if this offseason revolved around, as soon as we got Cam Newton, it was, holy crap, the Pats got Cam Newton. And then all of the, let's see what Stidham does, that really left outside of New England talk. Inside New England, obviously, you're going to cover it way more because this is your team, this is your job, these are your quarterbacks. Outside of New England, all my friends from like Pennsylvania and everything, they all think Cam Newton's starting like week 1, and they're all like worried about Cam Newton. I'm like, if we can just strike fear in people with having Cam Newton's name on our roster, that's what I want. And I feel as if he'd just be wicked fun to watch. Granted, I keep saying, I couldn't care less about Jarrett Stidham. He could be best quarterback in the world, and I could be like, oh, that was cool. Didn't see that one coming. But as of right now, I'm very much picking Cam. Simply also, I think the whole Cam as a mobile quarterback, the Patriots have never really had a mobile quarterback, and Cam is a just monster of human being.
Excuse me, Doug Flutie was number 2 for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, he played with people who probably can run like a 5.40. Anyways, I feel as if there's just something different, and I want something a little bit different. Granted, the winning way seems to be in New England, but just shake it up a little bit. Joe, you said 9-7 is a realistic expectation. What's your record prediction?
Okay, so if we're committing this early to that, I was going to save this, but I'm going to say.
All right, this is a throwaway one. When we do with Babs and everything, this is the one you'd be like, all right. Yeah.
I'm going to go with 10-6 because I actually do believe Bill Belichick just runs a well-oiled machine. And I don't really. And you saw in 2008 when Brady went down, you still went 11-5. And
yeah, does 10-6 win the AFC East?
I'm not sure if it does, but I guarantee we won at least one of the games against Buffalo. So depending on the tiebreakers and everything, I have us primed for a number 1 wild card spot right now. And does that set us up for Super Bowl success? No, it doesn't. As history shows, you need a bye to kind of win a Super Bowl because you need some more rest. But I have first wild card spot kind of locked up for the Patriots right now.
It's really just down to New England and Buffalo, right? Like Miami's not going to make noise. They could, but I don't think anything. And then the Jets are the Jets.
They're too young, I feel like.
I mean, hot take about Miami, I think Fitzmagic starts the season anyway because he's the best September quarterback of all time. If you look at the stats. But he really is. But then Tua will come in eventually to replace him.
Is Josh Rosen still on that team?
I was going to say,
he has to get out of there. Dude, that's terrible timing. He got drafted. Then Kyler Murray got into the team, so he got shipped to Miami, and then Tua comes in. I'm like, oh my god, I feel bad for Josh. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's had a legit shot. He played in Arizona with a terrible, terrible team.
For a while, I thought the Patriots were going to try to trade for Josh Rosen, especially when he was getting traded from Arizona. But now I look with Brian Flores as the head coach of that team, and obviously interdivisional trades never happened in the first place. But the fact that Brian Flores has worked with Bill Belichick that well, if he knows he wants a player, he's not giving him that player. He'll trade him to the NFC. He'll trade him as far away as humanly possible. Because if history's shown you one thing, don't make a trade with Bill Belichick because you're going to lose.
Unless you're the Cardinals.
Unless you're the Cardinals.
Did you guys talk about Lamar Miller signing yet? Does that make really any impact to the Pats?
To be honest with you, I think it lights a fire under Sony Michel's ass because last year he was not impressive, and
Michel stunk.
And he showed me in that season that he needs an elite fullback to guide him through the offensive line, and needs an elite interior offensive line. David Andrews going down last year was catastrophic to his production. And you look at his rookie season, he had an unbelievable rookie campaign, especially in the playoffs. That's because that offensive line was so elite and because Javen Devlin was playing his ass off to make those holes for Sony Michel as wide open as possible. Sony Michel is not LaShawn McCoy. He cannot make his own space. He cannot, he's not a threat in the open field. He's a downhill runner that kind of gets the yards he gets and falls down. And that's a personal choice. I don't really like that kind of running back. I don't think he adds a ton of value to your team. And so when you bring in a guy like Lamar Miller, who's done it at a very high level for a very, very long time, veteran presence, I think it's kind of to scare Michelle, saying, hey, this might be your last chance to impress us. Better do something with it.
Is David Matthews back? Not Matthews. David
David
Andrews. David Matthews,
David
the whole
Andrews.
band.
I think he is, yeah.
He's cleared to play, and he
What
avoided a
he
very
had like
scary
a heart?
injury.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't he have like a heart condition?
No, he had
or
blood
something?
Career
clots.
threatening,
Blood
yeah.
clots.
Yeah.
Why?
He had Chris Bosh disease. It was
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah, exactly what he is.
Why would he come back? Like during Corona
Love
and
of the
everything.
game.
Like granted, like you're all right. This is my thing. I also want to talk to before we go to our Chris Gronkowski interview. How college football is being canceled, I think that's dumb. Not because I'm like, oh, I want football, blah blah blah. Yeah, I do want college football, but like Trevor Lawrence makes a fantastic point. Do you think these kids are gonna go home and get tested or follow these procedures to keep them like? It's like I said this like military school, for example. Strict schedule. You're always going to be on the same time. You're going to get these tests. You're going to have to be safe. And if you mess up, you're going to be an idiot and cost up your whole team. There's a lot more on the line. They cancel football. You send all the kids home. They're not going to follow anything. I follow like 4 kids on like the basketball team on like Snapchat. And like there's stories of just them in clubs and like parties every single day. I'm like, dude, if you think that football players or any athlete or any college kid is really going to follow these guidelines as much as they would if they were on the team, you're insane.
Exactly. And the MLB's proven that even at a professional level, you can't contain this thing because if you don't have a bubble, you can't do it. And the NFL is going to have a problem with that.
But I feel as if you can do it way more in college because I feel like in professional sport,
I really don't.
I don't know if you can 100%, but I feel as if it would be more likely because if you're a pro athlete, you're not going to let another grown man tell you what to do because that's masculinity on the line right there. But if you're a college athlete and you're playing, I feel it's way more team oriented in college and you can't let your teammates down. You're going to get yelled at by your coaches and stuff like that. I feel as if you shouldn't want to play.
If you're a lower level guy, that applies.
True.
But even so, who's gonna listen to these guidelines when you're a 20-year-old kid going to say Penn State, 40,000 students? You're gonna
never
party.
Get a whole team.
You're just gonna congregate. That's how it works.
It's the same thing with the entire country. You want no one doesn't really. I mean, I need to start over. You're always going to have people who are going to go against the grain and are always going to ruin it for everybody else, no matter what it is. So I think them canceling college football was really to cover their ass because if they had this season and all of a sudden everything did break out and everything got canceled, it would look way worse than them canceling it ahead of time. Regardless of these guys' young careers and them trying to get drafted and everything, they're trying to, at the end of the day, do what's going to be best for them.
Big Ten's a mess right now anyways. The AD at Penn State came out yesterday saying, like, all these reports that there was a vote. She's like, there was no vote. I don't know why people keep making decisions. So there's, like, nobody knows what's going on in Big Ten football. It might be back. It might not be back. You see Justin Fields. All right, this is also a thing I want to talk about. Justin Fields started a petition, the change.org thing, and I don't think I've ever once seen an online petition do remotely anything. If I've seen 1 million petitions, I've seen 0 results. And that could be just me just not following up and looking at stuff, but feels like there's 700 new petitions every single day. I could be wrong, but I don't think anything comes out of it. So yeah, Justin Fields can say like, we want to play football, the hashtag we want to play. The NCAA doesn't care about any of that. They're all like 70 billion years old and they haven't opened a phone because they've just been reading newspapers their entire lives.
I don't think the league that doesn't pay their players or the association doesn't pay their players is really going to care about a petition to get them to play.
I don't know. I want The Rock to make the XFL NCAA Part 2 and just make it better than the NCAA and pay your players and get all the elite talent. Screw having the Extreme Football League or whatever it is. Just make it the NCAA fun. Speaking of fun, we got a Gronk brother on the show. If you want to introduce that, Joe.
Yeah, we have an interview. Actually.
That was such a corny.
Yeah, that was tough.
I was trying to think of how to. I'll hand up. That was dumb. I'll say it. But I was trying to think of a way to transition to keep the listeners engaged. And if you're paying attention, I hope you're like, "Wow, Ty, that was stupid." Hand up. I know it was. All right, Joe.
All right. Chris Gronkowski, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. Shout out to Emma Shark, one of our members, actually got him for us. And we talked about a lot of different stuff in this interview. We talked about, obviously, his brother coming back with Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady.
Who's his brother?
Yeah, I guess so. We always talked about some other different stuff as well. Talked about, his career with the Denver Broncos, with Dallas Cowboys, his career at Arizona with Gronk, some of the party stories from the famous Gronk frat house, which was actually really funny. You'll hear some of that in the interview coming up. However, We talked also about some of his more famous mishaps, like the fact that he missed a block on Tony Romo and he broke his collarbone, was out for the entire season. And that was pretty funny. And we talked about that.
I haven't heard the interview yet. That's actually
Yeah, really, really funny. But he's a good
my
sport about it.
God.
Actually had a pretty good career. He was ranked as, I think, the 7th best fullback his rookie year, and then kind of just filtered out for no reason. Also the inventor of the ice shaker, who actually won Shark Tank. A-Rod and I believe Mark Cuban invested in it. And then actually Derek Jeter, I think, bought out A-Rod after that. I'm not sure. I kind of forget. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening to this part. However, Chris, thanks so much again. Check out Ice Shaker, his products, unbelievable product for the gym, or even making some tequila shots for really any mixology stuff that kind of works too. Of course, it makes sense. He's a Gronk brother investing in this kind of stuff. But Chris Gronkowski, here you go.
Hey, what's going on?
Here we go. The Gronk energy's already feeling it up in here. I love it. So Chris played in the NFL for actually a very long time with the Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, and also had a great career at Maryland as well as Arizona. Chris, before we get into anything else, you have a phenomenal product in the market right now. Tell us a little bit more about Ice Shaker.
Yeah, man, I'm actually struggling because we had a little technical difficulties before this. I forgot to grab my cup. It's about 90 degrees out here in Texas, but yeah, man, it's all about just living an active and healthy lifestyle. That's what our family's always been about. My dad's been in the fitness industry now for over 30 years. So, it's an insulated shaker bottle, really just designed to use all day, every day for anyone that's just, trying to be active. So be able to bring it to work, but also bring it to the gym and mix up a shake at any time, anywhere.
100%. What separates Ice Shaker from any other, hydro flask on the market?
Yeah, so what's cool about it is that it's double wall vacuum insulated. It's a kitchen grade stainless steel, so that's going to be similar to something like a hydro flask. What's great about it is that it has a handle on it. It snaps down, the easy open pop top, so you could open it one-handed pretty much when you're doing anything. But it has an agitator inside of it that will actually blend up proteins. And what's also really cool about it is it doubles up as a strainer. So you can use it as a cocktail shaker, but it also, heck yeah, man, it floats in the pool too. So it's perfect for that. But it actually stops ice from clogging the spout. So when you put a bunch of ice in a cup that's insulated, it just all floats to the top, and it's super hard to drink out of. Well, this actually strains it, so you're always getting good water flow. People like to also fruit infuse their drinks and put lemons, cucumbers, stuff like that in it as well. So it's really just a cup for everybody. It also has measurement markings inside. A lot of people are trying to drink more water these days, so it's just a great way to track your water intake as well.
Well, you sold me about 2 minutes, so I'm going to go buy one right now. That was a really good quick pitch.
I did not know about the cocktails, so now I'm sold.
Well, it makes sense. It's the Gronk family. Of course, you got to take some kind of alcohol mix in there a little bit.
Floats in the pool, of course.
Yeah, it's like, if you were going on the Gronk cruise, you got to have one, that kind of deal. So that tour has been canceled, but if we ever have one again, it will be sponsored by Ice Shaker.
There we go. I know Emma wanted to ask you a couple questions about your run on Shark Tank a little bit.
Yes. So for those of you that do not know, he was on Shark Tank and he was able to get a deal for $150,000 for 15% of the business with A-Rod and Mark. I was curious, how is working with A-Rod and Mark, considering they're so sports oriented with the Yankees and the Mavs?
Yeah, so I mean, that was kind of the goal when I went on the show, was to lock them up, because I kind of wanted that big three, NFL, NBA, and MLB. So it was interesting. So Rob, actually, my brother Rob, actually ended up buying out Alex last year, or maybe a little bit over a year now, when he came out of the league. So Rob was super interested into doing other things, kind of trying to get his feet wet with business. So he asked Alex to buy him out, and they made a pretty cool deal. So Rob is a part owner of the company now, but Mark's still in it. So Mark has been absolutely amazing. He's built out an entire team to kind of help us out, and he's right here in Dallas as well. So I've been to the headquarters a couple times. They've helped me with a lot of connections. They helped me get into GNC right away, and it's just been a good run, a great partnership. And it was huge for us. I mean, it really skyrocketed everything for the business. We were only 6 months in when we made that deal, and going on year 4 now, and it's been a great ride so far.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a crazy run. I've been following the success of that for a while now, and you guys are just kind of taking off, especially after that deal. But I do have one question to ask you. Now, I'm not trying to incriminate you at all, but A-Rod has a certain reputation when it comes to, his entire, lifestyle and his career and everything else. How was actually specifically working with A-Rod when it came to this product?
Yeah, so that was one of the main things I was concerned about when we first went on the show, because at that time, his reputation, was kind of in the gutter when he first got on Shark Tank. So, his online following wasn't that big. He didn't have the big broadcasting, career yet, and I didn't know much about him and what he was doing after baseball. So it was kind of a question mark. It was kind of hard to research him as well because it was the first time he was actually on Shark Tank. So it was definitely different, but he brought to the table what he said he was going to. He was great for promoting it. He was great for connections. He was working with UFC gyms. He was working with True Fusion. So we were able to get bottles into both of those companies as well. So it worked out well. With him, he was just so busy, though. It was kind of the time when J-Lo came on the scene as well. And he just had so much going on. And he took off with, broadcasting as well. And at that point, he didn't really have as much time to spend on the business. So that's kind of also when Rob came in and took over for him.
Yeah, 100%. No, that actually sounds pretty cool, because I was expecting a whole different story about a blow up or something when I heard Rob bought out the company. I was thinking about a meltdown or something, or J-Lo was like, you better sell that company for that extra share or something like that. But it's glad to know you guys are on good terms with that. I know Jay actually went and talked about something related to Stadium Blitz down in Tampa.
Yeah, man.
Stadium Blitz. What's going on, Chris? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a good day.
So, for those who don't know, you and your brothers are involved with Stadium Blitz, Monster Hydro Stadium Blitz, excuse me. So tell us a little bit about how your family got involved in that and where you guys see that going in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Rob was done playing, we had this great opportunity to create this event. And it was all about just getting out, visiting your favorite stadiums, and competing. And we love competing. And, after football's done, and as you're getting older, you're kind of like, hey, we still need something to get us going. So what can that be? And this was the perfect event. There's really no age limit on it. At any age, from age 7 and up, you can compete. The last event actually that I was at in Tampa, I believe the guy that won was like 50 years old, and he crushed it. I mean, it was amazing. He sprinted the entire course. I've never seen anything like it, but just a really, really cool event that would bring us together again, because when Rob was playing, that was kind of the, when we all saw each other. That was kind of our holiday. Everyone went to the game. We all met up. First, it was the time we'd see our family every year, and then it was over. So it was hard to get all 5 brothers back together, and this was the perfect event to do it. So obstacle course race, 15 obstacles inside your favorite stadium, under the lights, competing, getting butterflies in your stomach. And then after that, it was an after party.
Oh,
yeah. We'd go to the local bar, and we'd throw down, man. And we had people rapping there, giving out the awards. They were sponsored by Truly. So, I mean, it was just a good time overall, and had a ton of momentum going. And then COVID hit. It's kind of just shut everything down at this point.
So for those listening or watching who don't know, I actually ran 2 of these Stadium Blitzes. I ran the Tampa one at Raymond James, and I ran the Florida State University up at the Doak. I got my medals proudly displayed.
Oh, man. Hiding them on me.
Yeah. So I've done other obstacle course races in the past, and I do have a military history where we kind of train similar to that. And Stadium Blitz is a whole nother beast. You have all these mud style type runs where you kind of run around the woods and it's flat the whole time, and you might have to go up and over something. Stadium Blitz has really pushed me more than any other obstacle course race that I've done, strictly because of the fact that it's in a giant stadium. These professional stadiums hold 70 to 80,000 people, and I think the Tampa one, when I started running it, I was like, we're good. I'm golden. I started running up and down the stairs. Everything was great. And then I got to the other side of the stadium, and I looked and I saw people on the opposite sideline running up those stairs. I didn't know we were going to run both sides of the stadium. And I immediately got deflated. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought. But I will say this, it is a really, really great time. It takes about an hour. If you're slow like me, if your last name ends in ski, you can kind of knock it out a little faster. And just to touch on that is one of the things that I like you're talking about with the competing. I see you guys all on, in Instagram and social media, a week or 2 before the race, talking trash, who's going to get the belt, who's going to run faster and all that. So it does bring a little bit of that out. I know I've always done it I've always brought some people with me to run with me. And we kind of have that similar, like, oh, I'm going to run it faster than you. Last time I did it, my friend was kind of waiting on me for the whole time doing it. But like you said, it is a good time. You do have the party afterwards. We had it at the Tampa one was at American Social. Shout out to them, which is just a fantastic bar on the water here. So I just want to say for what you guys are doing for Stadium Blitz, you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm psyched. I'm ready to run Tampa again, I believe in December. I'll be up in Nashville in October to run it again. I am a little torn, though, so I'm going to ask you this. Does Helmet Guy come back? Because Rob ditched us. So I have the helmet back here with some guy, some former Patriot, wrote all over it, which is great. So I'm wondering, should I bring back Helmet Guy, or do I find some new way to torture myself while running these 5K?
No way. Yeah, that was you that rocked the helmet?
Yes. Yeah.
No way. I love it, man. No, you got to bring the helmet back, man. That was legendary. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone there was chanting for you. I mean, you got in all the pictures because of it. No, that was that race. I thought you were going to say the part where we had to run up the ramp and then run back down.
Yeah. The spiral ramp. Yeah, that was torture.
300 level. Man, that would got me for sure because even running down, you think it's going to be kind of easy, but you're tired. So it's kind of just forcing you to go faster than you want to go. And it wears more than you think.
Yeah, no, Jay.
Helmet Guy back for sure, man. You better bring the
helmet. Helmet Guy's not going anywhere then.
I'm not even lying. Jay's been living off that for the past couple of years. Like he's been sky high since Gronk called him a legend on IG. That's in his bio. That's in his Instagram bio. No, Rob Gronkowski called me a legend on Instagram.
Literally driving home, and I'm about to fangirl out here, and that's okay. I'm a grown man. I can do it. Driving home from Tallahassee, and my friend is just swiping through Instagram and doing like 75 miles an hour down the highway. And he goes, "Dude, Gronk just shouted you out on Instagram on his story." And I like pulled into like the very next gas station, just like watched it, and then sent it to all my boys and whatnot. But yeah, you know it's actually where when the after party at American Social, I didn't know the VIP like section that you guys were all in. I didn't know that was VIP, so I just kind of walked in there because I wanted to get a beer. And this girl who was at American Social was like, you can't be back here. Like, this is for sponsors and like family members only. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, my bad. Like, I'll go back inside. And your brother was like, Jay, what's up, man? And like Jay was there, like, was like, what's up? Where you been, man? Like, hi. And like the girl from American Social just kind of like walked away and was like, oh shit, my bad. And I've never felt more famous in my life.
That is so cool.
I love it. I love it. Chris, before we move on here, you mentioned competition when it comes to Stadium Blitz. And I think that's probably the best word to describe your family is competition. Being in that family, that's just testosterone, like, reimagined. That's just the whole vibe in your household. How was growing up in the Gronkowski household with your dad being the freak he is when it comes to weights?
Man, so he didn't really push weights on us until we were ready for it. And even at that point, we were probably about 14 years old when we started lifting. And it was all about just correct form at that point. The competition really came later in high school, and it was really all just won by me, so it wasn't really a competition. But being the shortest in the family does have a lot of advantages, especially lifting wise. So I was able to set most of the high school records at that point. But yeah, I mean, it came down to a competition and everything though. Even in weights, if I won, it was all about, maybe you can do that, but I'm going to beat you in race. And I'm going to beat you in the 40 and the side shuffle, and I'm going to have more TDs than you. So everything ended up being a competition at some point. Even if you were better at one thing, you were compared the entire day, and every day was a competition.
Yeah, 100%. The more I think about it, the more I realize how much money you guys just spent on food alone to feed you guys. You must have just rented out a Stop and Shop or something and just said go crazy with the amount of guys that are in that household that are just absolute monsters. I kind of want to start going on to your career a little bit. So obviously you grew up one of five. Competition was built into your family, and you kind of just set the example. You go to University of Maryland as a recruit, as a guard, and actually end up being moved to fullback as a redshirt freshman. Then you end up transferring to Arizona. Take me through the kind of like the process of why you wanted to transfer in the first place.
Yeah, man. So I went to Maryland, and it was kind of a weird situation because I got there. I tell people all the time, I pretty much got there because of grades, not necessarily my athletic talent. I was going to the University of Penn. I got into Ivy League. I was accepted into the Wharton Business School, so it was this huge honor. But at the same time, I knew I would come out of college with about $200K in debt. So I kept pushing to try to get a D1 scholarship because I did want to play at the highest level. And it ended up being 2 weeks before camp started at Maryland where I got this offer. And it really came because they were about to go on academic probation, and they lost a bunch of running backs due to grades. And a couple of them coming in also couldn't get in because of their grades, so they were going to prep school instead. So with that, I got this last-minute offer. And I came in, I did what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to be a 4.0 student. I had it. Went in the weight room. I was the pound-for-pound strongest guy as a freshman in the weight room as well. And I was doing everything right, but I got hurt in one practice, and at that time I was the goal line fullback, and I was the only other one on the team. So we couldn't run goal line that day. Coach flipped out, super old school mentality, next guy up kind of deal, and said, you're not going to play for me anymore if you don't practice today, was kind of how it went down. And so that happened that summer, that spring ball. Rob came in, he was the number one recruit in the nation, and the coach to my dad and to Rob was pretty much like, hey, I love your brother Dan, but your brother Chris will never play for me. And at that moment, it was kind of like, man, you're telling my parents that, like my dad that, my brother that, my brother's number one in the nation. Rob immediately walks out of that meeting, goes, I'm not going to school here. He goes, where do you want to go together? And that's how it all started. So at that moment, I was like, hey, man, I'm ready to go. Let's find somewhere fun to go play together. And that's when it started. So I ended up leaving. I actually went to Arizona a semester before Rob got there. And it was kind of with the promise that I could try out for baseball because I wanted to play baseball again and see if I still had it. And then also, I'd keep a scholarship as long as I could play special teams at Arizona. So it was a really cool opportunity to kind of just start over and just get a fresh look at it in a place where I actually felt like I was wanted.
And not to mention being with your brother and just the amount of stories you have from Arizona, I'm sure, are countless. But I have to ask about one specific thing, the Gronk frat house. You have to give me at least a couple little tidbits of what went down in that house.
Yeah, man, that was Club G, is what we called it. But yeah, it was well known. My dad bought a house, and he bought it because he bought a house with my older brother Gordy, and he did really well in the Florida market. Well, he ended up buying one in Arizona at the worst time ever. It was like right before the market crashed, so he got crushed on it. And then on top of that, we just destroyed this house as well. But what ended up happening was my brother Gordy at the time he was in the minor leagues with the Angels organization, and they were in Tempe, Arizona, which was about an hour from Arizona. So my brother came down to kind of be our mentor, is what he called himself, while he trained for summer ball. And at that point, he came down, and it was really all about just having fun. And the little money that he had from playing was a lot of money for someone in college. So, he was always funding the parties, and we were just having a good time. And the classic was just the slip and slide. So we would have people over. It would get so messy, and by the end of the night, it'd be like 2 a.m. We're like, hey, we need to clean up. So we started just dumping soap on the floor, and then people and the next thing you know, I don't remember which one of us it was, but one of us just ran full speed and dived through it. And at that point, it was game on, and our entire house, the slip and slide. So we opened the front door up, we run full speed. We slide through the family room, through the kitchen, and then out the back door, and we jump in the hot tub that we had in the back.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so at one point, Gordy had this man thong with handcuffs on it. We don't know where it came from. The next thing I know, he was sliding through the entire house with these on, and that was like the last night of slip and slide. That was like the grand finale, and after that, it was over with because I actually went through the wall. I tried to cut the corner. I slipped too far, and I went to the side of the wall. And we're like, all right, man, we can't afford to pay for any more damages at this point. So,
how happy are you that that Snapchat wasn't a thing back then?
Really, everything. I mean, phones at that time were garbage. People were just starting to get them. What became popular was like the Sidekick. I don't know if you remember that,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like the first phone that had like a decent camera on it. And we were good at that. Probably right after we left college was kind of when the cell phones blew up. So we got lucky.
Yeah, you got really lucky. I was about to say you
Yeah.
got kicked out already.
Yeah, I'm glad there's no footage of Gordy in a thong slipping sliding through the house out there.
I might be able to find some pics if we can. You guys got to post it in it.
Oh, we will. Believe me, we will.
I think it's better that way because that way you can change the story, tell little rumors, make it your own.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no phones. Yeah, maybe that really didn't happen. Maybe I just imagined it. I'm not sure.
How big was the hole in the wall when you went through it?
So it was like the corner of the wall, and it had like a big metal like corner on it, I guess. So I went through that. Kind of I don't know. It was probably like 2 feet off the ground. It's kind of just my hip and my side that went through the wall, but it was pretty big. We definitely had to have someone come out and repair it. And that same night, Dan, the countertop as well, and some of the countertop broke too. So that was a pretty costly night for us, and that was kind of like the time when we ran out of money.
Yeah, but it was probably worth it though, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, this story, just being able to tell it was worth the damages, and back then it was a lot of money, and now I would do it all over again if I could.
I bet that repairman had a lot of questions when he came in.
Yeah, the number one question was like, how's your floor this dirty when you guys always put all this soap on it? I couldn't figure that out, but I guess we just spilled a lot of beer on it.
Yeah, that was the birthplace of Yo Soy Fiesta. I'm convinced now. No, all right. So you get to Arizona with Rob, and obviously you guys have a ton of success there, both you and Rob, obviously. And obviously have a lot of fun along the way, and you guys end up going to the same NFL draft 2010. Now, Rob ends up going in the higher rounds, and you actually predicted to go up into the 4th round, but end up going undrafted. Take me through the whole draft process, what it was like going there with your brother.
Yeah, so we were invited to New York City. So really at that point, Rob was valued as high as a top 10, but because of his back injuries, it was a huge question mark. So he was invited, which was kind of, no one had ever not went in the 1st round when he got invited. So we were kind of expecting it. So that first day was definitely a letdown. A lot of question marks because with an injury, you just have no idea what's going to happen. You could drop and drop and drop and drop. And after he left the 1st round, we started to question if, he should have left early because he missed his entire junior year, didn't really have that much film, and now came out early. So got a little crazy, but as soon as he went and got drafted, it was just, game on at that point. Huge celebration. Super excited about it. Ended up being probably the best opportunity that he could have and a great organization to go to. So everything ended up playing out really well. For me, it was kind of what I expected. I knew that maybe 1 or 2 fullbacks would go in the entire draft. And, man, for me, everything was a bonus. I wasn't even the first best in my family, the second best. I was probably the 3rd best in my family. And it's they say 1 in a million chance of even being drafted or going to the NFL. So for me, I knew that I probably wouldn't get drafted. I knew that it would probably be a one and done situation. I'll get one opportunity, one chance, and I had to prove myself. And that's what I ended up doing.
Going full 8 Mile, one chance and one opportunity.
Man, that was it, man. I have to start singing the Eminem song over here.
I was about to say. So you end up going to Dallas, I believe, and you kind of just get a whole situation where you have a great team around you. Obviously, Tony Romo was at the height of his career at the time. Marion Barber's still on the team as well, and you kind of just going through kind of an interesting period in the NFC East, and while your brother's going to the AFC East. I had to bring up one painful memory, and I'm sorry about this. I do this every interview. I always have to bring up one thing. So Monday Night Football, you go in for a block, you kind of miss it. Tony Romo gets hit, throwing a pass to Miles Austin, and he breaks his collarbone. Take me through that play and just kind of the reaction you got from your team afterwards.
Yeah, man. I love telling people this because they actually never asked me afterwards, and I got murdered for it. And the whole season got blamed on me as an undrafted free agent rookie. So what ended up happening was we were told the game plan. The game plan over and over again was, hey, our starting left tackle's hurt. The guy starting this week is first time starting in the NFL, Doug Free at the time. So the game plan is they have 2 really good DNs. Get out, check your guy, get out as fast as you can, chip out and help your tackles out. And then get out as fast as you can so Tony can dump it to you if he needs to. So that was the game plan. The game plan was also, hey, if the linebacker is not walked up on the line, he has never once come the entire year so far. So get out even faster. So we get into the play. Basic pass coverage. I check my guy. He's actually outside. He's actually over Jason Witten at the time. Jason motions in. The guy's still off the ball. I check him. I get out as fast as I can. I chip out. And my guy, Green Dog, is what they called it. So he sits. He reads the play. He reads the running back. He sees what the running back's doing. The running back sat, so he came. So he kind of paused. I got out. I got outside of my tackle. My guy came inside. We have a guard that's sitting there not blocking anyone, who he just runs right by. And Tony, he winds up and he throws this long pass for 40 yards and gets hit. And he gets pile driven into the ground. And I never got asked about it because no one even knew. They actually thought it was the guard's fault. But at the end of the day, I did exactly what they asked me to do. And the reactions from my teammates was, hey, don't let that bother you. My running back coach was actually extremely mad because they sat me the next game. And they sat me the next game to, prove this point that I did something wrong. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, it was driven by the media. Jerry Jones has to, put it on someone and have a reason because we, at that time we were 0-5, going into the season that we were supposed to win the Super Bowl. So that was kind of their scapegoat. It was me. And it sucks, but I ended up taking all the heat that year. Ended up, death threats, everything online, everything you can imagine. And at the end of the year, I don't know if you, pro player focus, who actually watches each and every play and grades you out. I was actually graded out that year as the 4th or 5th best fullback in the entire league. And they gave me rookie of the year. And every comment was still, this guy sucks. What are you talking about? Because it really came down to one play. No one was actually watching what I was doing. No one was actually seeing it. No one actually even watched the play and saw what actually happened or interviewed me about it. So when people ask, I love telling it because they're like, man, holy shit, you took all that heat for something like that the coaches actually, told you to do. And so really it was just doing my job. And it ended up just being an unfortunate situation for me.
You know what, though? They say, like, everything, like a single butterfly flaps its wings and then blah, blah, blah. Everything that's happened since then, I think Tony Romo's done very well for himself. So
I made Tony $100 million.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how it was too. In the locker room, that's exactly how the attitude was Tony came up to the next day and said, hey, don't worry about it, man. You did nothing wrong. And so that's how it was. The guys that knew me, the coaches in the locker room, they all knew, and they were like, man, there's nothing you could do about it. And at the end of the day, I don't like making excuses or saying anything, but we have a Pro Bowl center who let his guy right up the middle a couple plays before that, and he lit up Tony Romo. I ended up just being the one time that he got hurt, ended up being my guy, which I was told something that didn't happen. He came on a play that he wasn't supposed to come on, that I was told to get out on, and it was just an unfortunate situation for me.
The real players really know that teamwork is what makes the dream work. I know it sounds really bad, but teamwork is what makes it work, and it has to get by everybody in order to get to the QB, just like all the other sports.
Yeah, and I say this as well. You blitz in the NFL because sometimes it works, or else they won't do it. I mean, the quarterback.
Sounds like the other team's really good too.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Every player out there is one of the best players in the world at their position. And, like I said, you blitz because every game you blitz, you hit the quarterback, and it happens every single game. And every once in a while they get hurt. And that guy, the guy that let it up, he takes some heat for it. That's for sure. But it's part of the game.
Risk and reward.
Exactly. So you leave Dallas after that season, I believe, and you go to Indy for a cup of coffee. After that, you end up going to Denver, and you finish out your career in Denver. To be honest with you, I think you were a pretty good player overall. You had a lot of different strengths. You played a lot of different positions over the course of your career. I honestly think you should have been in the league a lot longer than you were. I'm surprised.
I think the Patriots need a fullback right now.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
in.
New England might need to call you up a little bit.
So, yeah, my other two brothers ended up going to New England. I thought I had a good shot of going there. I think my reputation from college with Rob actually stopped me from going to New England.
Can't have these two in the same place.
Yeah, like because we were just too crazy together. But really, at the end of the day, I think that was a mistake for them not to, because what drove us off the field also drove us on the field. We were so competitive with each other that it always drove us to another level. And when we played together as brothers, it wasn't even about trying to impress your coach or anything like that, or it was all about impressing your brother, man. I wanted to go into the film room and be like, hey, bro, watch this next play coming up because I nailed this dude. I laid him out. And that's what it was all about. And it was vice versa, too. Like, if you got lit up on a play and you had to walk into the room and your bro was going to be sitting next to you making fun of you, like that was the worst feeling in the world. So when we played together, it was awesome because a lot of the times we also blocked together. We ran routes together, but we pushed each other to a whole nother level that I would never, you can't get pushed like that from anyone else besides your own family.
100%. And not even to mention the amount of weapons that team would have, especially so since you left Dallas after that first initial season, and say you go to New England after that season. First of all, you have your brother, who's obviously becomes one of the best tight ends in the league that season. You have the late Aaron Hernandez, which is obviously a game changer during his prime as well. You would have you in the backfield coming out, blocking for actually a great running back stable, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Danny Woodhead. And so I think that would have been a very interesting offense to kind of watch and unfold because, like you said, you push each other, your brothers. This is an open competition, so it would have been a very interesting dynamic to see on the field. I have to ask you about this as well before we close out anything else. Your brother retired a couple years ago, and ends up coming out and gets traded to Tampa Bay to join his old friend Tom Brady. That offense right now, as it stands, has Tom Brady, Ronald Jones, your brother, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Cameron Brate, and O.J. Howard. First of all, how the hell did we let this happen? And second of all, what are your thoughts on your brother going to join Tom Brady in Tampa Bay?
And man, I mean, I was shocked. He definitely made me look bad because TMZ asked me about a month before if I thought he'd ever come back, and I was like, hell no. We were having a great summer. We were having an amazing time, and the game is hard, especially after you leave and you see what else is out there. It's a sport, but it's a job, and it's a full-time job where you're waking up at 6 a.m., you're leaving at 6 p.m., and you're just getting beat up mentally and physically. So once I left, it was kind of like, hey, this is the first time I've ever slept. This is the first time I went to bed and I didn't grind my teeth when I was sleeping. This is the first time I had a full night's sleep and didn't have to worry about waking up and going to practice 1 minute late and getting fined $1,000. So when I was done, it was like, wow, this is a whole new world, so much stress off my plate. And I could just never see myself going back. So for, when he said he was, I was kind of shocked by it, but he also, he was at the top of his game and he still had that fire burning. And it's always kind of that what if you don't go back. But I expect big things. What's going to be super interesting is, seeing how they actually cover. What are you going to do if you can't double cover? Whoever's not double covered, I guess, is going to be the superstar each and every game. So it'll be a great opportunity for him to just finally get some single coverage, and that's where the ball's going. So whoever's not doubled is going to get a lot of passes. He's going to have a really, really good year this year.
It's going to be a scary, scary offense, and I'm not looking forward to watching it, to be honest with you.
And Chris, I'll tell you what. So as you probably remember, I live in Tampa, and I just moved here about a year ago. So when people say, "Oh, hey, why did Tom and Rob go to the Bucks?" I mean, that's just a simple answer. I mean, they just wanted to hang out with me. I mean,
that was obvious.
Yeah, I'll be waiting on that Davis Island invite any day now from Tommy.
When I see you with the helmet on next to Brady and Gronk, I'll believe that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not happening.
It could definitely happen, man. I just don't know if the Tampa Bay fans will let you down there with that helmet on. I don't know. We'll see. I think there's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of Patriots helmets out there.
I will say this: shout out to Tampa. We do. I mean, we're a transplant city. We do have a lot of New England fans down here. Not a day goes by that I don't see some, a car with a Patriots sticker, Patriots license plate, or something on there. So I've definitely found a home here with other Patriots fans here. Shout out Whiskey Wings in Oldsmar. Good bar. They house us. But yeah, I'll say this. I'm excited for the fact that Rob and Tommy are down here. And the fact that the NFL didn't schedule the Patriots games and the Bucks games at the same time is dope. So I'll be able to watch everybody kind of play on Sunday. And you know, it hurts my heart. They put up the giant murals on the side of Ray J, and Rob's up there now, and I drive past it, shed a little tear, and but hey, it's business, so.
It sounds like Roger Goodell's been watching everything you've been doing, man, because he's just setting up this whole year for you.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's just making it happen for me. Like, he's like, oh, whatever Jay wants, Jay gets. So
Exactly.
that's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and before we go, I do have to ask you about one New England-based thing. Obviously, we're a New England-based media company, so I have to ask about these questions. Obviously, Tom Brady isn't here anymore, and there's been kind of a controversy going in. Earlier in this offseason, we had Jarrett Stidham. Stid the kid.
Me too.
Hey, hold on a second. I'm not telling you. He was the presumed heir apparent. He was our QB1 going in, and nobody had any doubts about that. No one was thinking Brian Hoyer was going to start over this guy. And then just a few weeks ago, we bring in former MVP Cam Newton. What are your thoughts on this potential quarterback competition, and who do you think comes out on top?
Man, that was like the most genius. I mean, that was a classic Belichick, man. That was the most genius sign ever. You know, he goes and gets a guy that has a chip on his shoulder that's trying to prove something. And he's done it over and over and over again. And you know Cam Newton's going to have the starting position on day one. And you know he's going to come out and crush it. You know, he has so much fire underneath him right now. And that's the perfect guy at the perfect time for Belichick. So I see it happening all day. And I see him having a great year in New England.
I mean, I don't want to say that you're right here.
I want to say he's right.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it right.
He's absolutely right.
Until I hear Bill Belichick straight up say Cam Newton's the starting quarterback, I'm not believing a single thing.
He's not going to say that, man, because he probably won't start him the first game just to really build that fire, and then you'll see him week 2.
Now, I haven't heard that yet. That's an interesting little take there. I haven't heard that yet.
I could definitely see that happening. You know, he's going to build that fire up as high as he possibly can, and Cam's going to come out and he's going to be ready to go.
I'm curious who loves competition more, the Gronk brothers or Belichick? It's going to be pretty close.
I can't wait to see this year because you know, same with Brady. I mean, just so competitive, and you know, everyone this year has something to prove, and so it's going to be super interesting. The thing that I think is going to be also super interesting is really the fact that, you know, COVID hit and teams weren't there, and you know, I think teams like Tampa and New England, I'm sure they were still preparing. I'm sure all their guys were out there. I know Brady, you know, he was probably throwing every single day, and it's super hard to get into that zone. So I think there's an advantage for teams like that have players like that or organizations like that, because if you didn't, you know, your players weren't going as hard. You know, they're not going to come into camp in as good a shape as they would have been. So any team that had a very dedicated, you know, player base at this point is going to come out on top, especially early on this year. And I think that's a huge advantage.
I completely agree. Chris, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Shout out Ice Shaker, the best thing on the market for anything related to Hydro Flask technology. We appreciate it. Hopefully talk to you again soon. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, baby.
All right, that was Chris Gronk. Dude, I still can't get over the fact of the Romo thing. I still think that is wicked funny.
And they were slated to win the Super Bowl that year. They were like stacked, and then Romo went down.
That's the one that like ended his career too, pretty much, wasn't it?
No. It was a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, no. It was in 2011 or 12, I think. I really forget the year, but essentially what happened was they were like an all-house blitz. The lineman who was supposed to pick up Chris Gronkowski's guy didn't pick him up. Gronk just didn't know what to do. Romo went down, broken collarbone, pretty much ended their season. And then he got blamed for it. And then Romo came into the locker room to apologize for it and everything and said it wasn't his fault. But the entire media just took a giant shit on Chris Gronkowski and kind of forced his way out of Dallas. But thanks again, Chris. Great interview, great guy. I actually might have him on the show soon. Actually gave us some nice inside information about his brother that we won't disclose, but it was kind of cool to get an inside perspective on Gronk's comeback.
All right, speaking of his brother, what are your guys' expectations, I guess? Like, we talk about this here and there. NFL season's right around the corner. Tom Brady, his practice reports coming out. Are the Bucs going to be just good, or are they just going to flop? Because I keep going back and forth to this, and the more I think about it, I think they're going to flop. Like, I feel as if this is like the Cleveland Browns of last year. Granted, they're way better than Cleveland is, but there's all this hype. They have Odell, they have Baker, they have Jarvis Landry, and then they stunk. I think if you drop 2 of your first 3 games early, that's bad news.
Well, the Patriots did that back a couple of years ago. They started like 1-2 or 2-2, and then I think they ended up
And they won the Super Bowl.
winning the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say it's going to happen with the Bucs, but they also, we're not talking about Baker and Odell, and I mean, actually Odell's nasty, and so is Juice. But I mean, we're talking about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski to a lesser degree, obviously, because he's been gone. And then Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, they're a little weaker, but they had one of the best run defenses in the league last year. So they definitely have the tools, but that's a really tough division, obviously, to play in, and a tough conference.
Are they
I
better
think they'll
than
be
the
good.
Saints?
Yeah. No. I'm not going to mint them a
So they're gonna
top-tier
be-
NFC team, but I think they'll be definitely up for that first wild card spot. Maybe the division if things go right, but probably not.
I don't know. Anyways, Bruins hockey. We got a lot of criticism for not talking a lot of Bruins. So here's some Bruins hockey talk. I'm probably not going to say much because I didn't really watch any of the games, and I have zero insight on anything Bruins. So you guys can take this away.
I'll take it.
I don't know about
I'll just start with this.
All right,
I'll start with this real quick before you guys talk because I'm not going to know anything you guys are talking about. I'm not really mad at Tuukka Rask. Like, I get why you did it. The only thing that's stupid is you don't go to the bubble and then pull out after you like a playoff game or something. Like, I think that's dumb. I think that like that part's stupid. I get why you leave. Like any pro athlete, if you want to leave because of Corona, you should be able to do it. You shouldn't get criticism. Blah blah blah. But if you do it in the middle of the playoffs, dude, that is so.
After you lose a game, too.
Yeah, that is like
Bad
you can't write anything more stupid than that.
I mean, my official stance, Tuukka Rask is a bitch. That's just how it is. Tuukka Rask is an actual bitch. I mean, yes, the family time is definitely important. But honestly, I just don't think he wanted to be in the bubble anymore. I don't think it was about family. I don't think it was protecting anybody. I think he was having a bad time playing hockey, in August and just didn't want to do it anymore. And so when you look at that, you're quitting on your team. You're quitting in the middle, not in the middle of a playoff series, but the beginning of a playoff series that, you have a really good shot of winning the cup this year. And you look at that and just say, what the hell kind of character does this guy have? I mean, if you don't have your teammates back, whose back do you have? And being a goalie in the NHL is a very sacred thing. And when it comes to, your place in the team, because you actively determine how good you guys are day in and day out. You can score as many goals as you want, but if you don't have a good goalie, you're going to be a bad hockey team. And you're kind of leaving some lurch here, but thank God Halak, showed up the past couple of nights. And not to mention, this team last night was unbelievable in the third period. 4-3 final score. We were down 2-0 going into the last 5 minutes, I believe, in that third period. And then Jake DeBrusk. Holy shit, Jake DeBrusk. He had an unbelievable hockey game, and one of his goals was unreal. He gets like a cross-ice pass up the ice, has to beat his guy deep. The goalie charges him, dives for the puck. He avoids him and still scores. It was unreal hockey to watch. And obviously the Bruins coming into the playoff series here, they had a lot of knocks on them. They went into the bubble. They were struggling early in the regular season when it came to the bubble play. They come into the playoffs kind of saying like, hey, we're not really sure what the Bruins are anymore because of the time off. And then they come in blazing first game, blazing second game, blazing third game, and now we're up 3-1. And you kind of look at that and say, hey, we kind of just stepped it up and realized we're in the playoffs right now. This is playoff hockey no matter what month it is. We understand it's August. That's really not like a normal time for NHL playoff stuff. But you look at that and you say, hey, these guys just turned it on, and it's really fun to watch good Bruins hockey again, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about the Bruins, but I will say this game you saw last night, Joe, obviously you're raving about the performance in the third period. Something to remember is they don't even have, who I believe is their best scorer, David Pastrnak, the guy who really carried the offensive load the whole season, as far as I know. So a team like this, obviously we're up 3-1. Once they get him back, that's just more offensive firepower.
Yeah, you know what, Pat? He's kind of annoying me now.
Is he?
I love Pasta. He's kind of annoying me now. Yeah,
I don't even know what his injury is. He just
because first of all, he gets in trouble for playing street hockey in Charlestown in the middle of a pandemic with a bunch of kids. Yeah, fun thing to do, not during a fucking pandemic, you moron. And then he comes back in out of shape, first of all, and then comes back and gets injured because he's not used to playing hockey again. You're actively, deterring your team from winning hockey games. That's just how it works. If you're not putting your all into what you're doing, you're hurting your team. And he's kind of pissing me off there. Do I love Pasta still? Absolutely. He's one of the best goal seekers in the NHL. 100%. The dude's a missile. He can't miss. But when you kind of have those not character issues, when you have like the careless attitude he has towards this,
like Robert Williams.
Essentially, yeah, but a little bit different. Just a little bit
and
different.
much better.
Sports.
I mean, not even Pasta was on track to score 50 goals. Rob Williams had 38 total minutes in the bubble.
Rob Williams scored 0 goals, confirmed. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's true. Good one.
You have to
There's
split
something
it
I
out.
want to say about Tuca real quick though is I think I've never like loved the guy. Obviously, I'm not the biggest Bruins fan, but I feel like he's always been very like non-committal and not really like into what he's doing. I always feel like he's always having
doesn't love
lapses of
hockey.
like he doesn't love hockey. Yeah, right. He doesn't.
It's
love
like he had a
hockey.
bad day of work, and instead of just going home and just blowing off
Quit.
steam, he leaves. I'm like,
Yeah.
he just quit.
Like he'll be the best goalie in hockey for like a month, and then after that he'll just fall off and seem like he doesn't really give a shit about the team or any of his teammates. Which I think he's going to be run out of Boston honestly after this.
Yeah, do you think he plays another game as a Bruin? Is his I
I-
don't know anything about his contract or anything, but
I think
he
Tuukka
might,
Rask
but maybe
retires,
won't.
honestly.
Really.
Well, Tuukka, he's talked about it earlier in the season. It was either this year or last year, but he talked about it, how he's not really, like you said, he's not really feeling it anymore. I think the official reason he gave of why he was leaving the bubble was he didn't feel the playoff intensity, whatever that means. But basically, he's just been saying like the last couple seasons, like, I might retire, kind of like how Kyrie led us on and didn't really ever give us an answer on what he was doing when his contract was up. He kind of has hinted at retirement. So I would not be surprised if after this bubble drama, if you actually don't see Tuukka play another hockey game for any team after this.
doesn't he have like crazy off the ice issues or whatever, like alcoholism and all that stuff? Or like he was an alcoholic, or he used to be, went to like rehab or something.
No comment.
So, all right, well, no comments, an answer. All right, anything else that we missed? I'm trying to think.
This has been Boston's Big Three.
Any final thoughts? We're going to go around. Pat, we'll start with you.
I want to go back to we were talking about Stidham and Newton. Something I will say for Jarrett Stidham is this whole time he's kept his head down. He's stayed silent. He's been doing his work. He's been learning from Hoyer, a guy who already knows the system. And I think, he's just really pushing for that starting job, and I think he's going to quietly probably take it. Not a whole lot of flash. And then I was going to say something relating to you, Joe, and Cam Newton, but now I forget what it was. But it was something, a callback to something you said way earlier. But yeah, that's all I got.
Was it in support?
No, it was something you said I was going to give you credit for, like I think against Cam Newton or for Jarrett Stidham or something. I don't know.
Whatever.
But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'll go for the Celtics, I guess. I really think that, with Gordon Hayward going down, you got to look at a couple more guys to step it up. I think Romeo Langford got a total of 10 seconds last night. So I think considering he's another athletic wing, you might see him get more minutes, maybe Grant Williams. But I'm really looking at Rob Williams here. Tice, I love him, but he's a little shorter, so it's hard going up against Embiid. So hopefully he gets a couple more minutes in the next game and can actually put in like how he's been doing, like a highly effective field goal percentage, and put in like 10, 12 points in addition to Tice's 10, and really step up and fill that hole that Gordon Hayward's leaving by getting injured yet again.
Oh, Joe, I got it. I'll
He
give
got
you
it.
credit for this. Back when we haven't signed Cam Newton yet, and you were all over it, like the Patriots should sign him. If Jarrett Stidham is the starter for the whole season, God forbid something happens with him, I remember you always advocating saying Cam Newton would be absolutely, like by a mile, the best backup quarterback in the entire league, and that's not a bad thing to have in any
100%.
scenario. So,
And it is funny, and I don't want to pat myself on the back too much for this because I already have
but
a
you
lot,
will.
but I will. And I.
Why not?
All right, my final thought. Fuck Tuukka Rask. I hate that guy now. Halak all the way.
Babs had kids. There's 2 small Babs out there. You better have his mother's genes, didn't you? Anyways, shout out Babs, shout out Mish, shout out the whole Spike twins. Not sure how much we'll be hearing them on the airways as of late or coming up. Now that he's a father of 2. In a day, his whole life flipped upside down.
No, guys, look at it this way. Babs is in charge of 2 human beings now.
You can't. We'll see. Hey, we'll just see what happens. And then my final thought is, if you want to make money this NFL season, Boss's Big 3 gambling corner is coming soon. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to get too much into details. Boss's Big 3 gambling corner. We're going to make you some money. And if we don't, then just fade our picks. So simple as that. Be on the lookout for that. This has been Boss's Big 3, episode 71. We'll catch you guys later.